Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy was Elton John's ninth studio album, issued in 1975. It came after Caribou and preceded Rock of the Westies. It's an unusual album for Elton John. It's a concept album, an autobiographical collection of songs that tells the stories of his and Bernie Taupin's musical writing career. The cover of the vinyl album and CD is undoubtedly the best artwork that's ever appeared on an Elton John album. It brings to mind the Sgt. Pepper cover produced for the Beatles. Loads of detail here. The back of the album is also full of fascinating detail. Look at that, great artwork there. Inside the album we have two booklets. We have a booklet of scrapbook pictures from Elton and Bernie's career, including some comic strip retelling, and we have a book of lyrics. So the album is telling the story of a series of memorable events in their career. Bernie Taupin called it the finest album we've ever made, a concept album, but one of the least of their commercial albums they've ever done. Elizabeth Rosenthal, in her book about Elton John called His Song, she describes it as musical theatre. And Gus Dudgeon, the producer, called it the best collection of songs Elton John has done. Let's have a look and see what the individual tracks tell us. The opening track is the title track, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. This introduces Elton and Bernie as cartoon heroes coming from the end of the world to your town. Talks of their childhood, their early disappointments, and the way that they became a team. It has a Western feeling to it. It's a jaunty, rhythmic melody, a pleasant harmony to listen to, and as an opener, it's a good appetizer. We're going to give that one 5 out of 10. Track 2 is called Tower of Babel. It begins in a very unpromising fashion with the words snow, cement. Can you think of a less interesting introduction to a song than those words paired together? It's an extended biblical metaphor, the Tower of Babel being a place where people can't understand what other people are saying. And it talks about the sharks of the publishing industry. It's an angry ballad which is having a go at the way the music industry treats its artists. It's episodic, there's no hooks in it. It's very difficult to whistle or hum anything from this tune. It's jerky, it's uneven, it has a massive vocal range, it doesn't go where you expect. It is not pleasant to listen to, and I'm afraid this is one of the writing team's rather darkest hours. Elton has apparently once played it live, but perhaps quite wisely decided not to repeat that experience. This one, I'm afraid, will only merit 1 out of 10. The third track is called Bitter Fingers, and this is about the experience of writing songs to order at Dick James Music. They were writing songs for people like Tom Jones and Cilla Black, and presumably had to meet certain deadlines along the way. There is a certain sort of Beach Boys feel to the verse, which is quite pleasant, but then it transforms into a chorus of hostility. It's a bit like lighting a fuse. The pleasant and engaging kind of pinball wizard type piano introduction gives way to that verse, but then we have the chorus with an absolutely horrid key change and pace change. It's like two songs have been sort of forced together, and the vocal that Elton gives on this is really far back in the mix, and we can't hear it particularly well either. This one, I'm afraid, just doesn't work as a song for me, so we're going to have to give that one 3 out of 10 and move on. Well, after two really weak tracks, things start to pick up on Captain Fantastic, and the fourth track is Tell Me When the Whistle Blows. A kind of tumbleweed connection feel to this one. There's an orchestral arrangement and a kind of bluesy landscape to the whole track. Bernie Taupin is apparently pining for the countryside in this, but the lyrics are quite obscure. Take my ears and tell me when the whistle blows. There's a sense of alienation in it, of living in an unaccustomed landscape. I find this a pleasant listen, actually. It's compact writing, and the whole thing works well as one unit. So the album is starting to pick up again now, and we're going to award this one 6 out of 10. So a quick question, what do you make of this? Well, despite my piano playing, I hope you recognise those as the unmistakable chords from Someone Saved My Life Tonight, a theatrical ballad that tells the story of Elton's night out with Long John Baldry, the so-called Sugar Bear, when he persuaded Elton to break off his engagement to his friend Linda. He was altar bound, and to stop him going down that particular road in his life. Thank God my music's still alive. It's a great lyric here from Bernie Taupin. Someone saved my life tonight, Sugar Bear. You almost had your hooks in me, didn't you, dear? You nearly had me roped and tied, altar bound, hypnotised. Sweet freedom whispered in my ear. You're a butterfly. Really good quality that. Elton's setting for this is just sheer class. The whole thing feels like one unit. It moves on smoothly. You want to know what happens next. There's passion in his voice there. There's real emotion. This is a fantastic live track, as we know. It's a timeless classic that we've come to expect from Elton, and this takes its place in modern music history, I think. And we're going to award this, without any shadow of a doubt, 9 out of 10. So that's the end of the first side of the album, and after a decent start, we have 2 weak songs there, Tower of Babel and Bitter Fingers, but it certainly picks up, and we end up with 24 marks for those first 5 songs. Let's move on to side 2. Song number 6 then on the album is Gotta Get a Meal Ticket, with Gotta Getter in brackets. This tells the story of the songwriting pair on £10 a week wages. It's about beating the odds, about beating poverty and getting life going. It's a forceful vocal, it's a driving rhythm, and with strong piano from Elton. It's a bold, confident song with good backing vocals. It's got that kind of feel of The Bitch Is Back, that type of song. It's really going places. Very good and pleasant to listen to. So it's a really good opener, I think, for side 2. We're going to award this one 7 out of 10. Song 7 is Better Off Dead, and I've heard this compared to a Queen song. It has that kind of delivery, and it's about unhappy people that the pair saw when they were sitting in a wimpy bar. And they realised that they had a lot to be thankful for in their own lives. And if they couldn't handle their misfortunes, then they were better off dead. So it's a pessimistic vocal in a way, but it's an optimistic melody. It's sharp and punchy. The melody, I think, suits the lyrics that Bernie Taupin came up with. It's not going to be a classic, but it's got a couple of hooks in it that stick in the memory. So we're going to give this one 5 out of 10. Track 8 is called Writing, and it's about the craft of writing music. It poses the question in the lyrics, will the things we wrote today sound as good tomorrow? Well, Elton and Bernie, they do actually, and often they get better even than when they were first released. The fact that we're still talking about this music 40 years later tells you just how good it is. It's a strong lyric. The feeling of a country song is evoked in this. It's a pleasant listen. When Elton comes in for the second verse, there's a second harmony he puts on there, which works really well. It's another one of those when we've got a dramatic key change for the refrain, which is not always my preference. That lessens the mark slightly for me. But it's a pretty good song, and the content of the lyric gives it that kind of eternal feel as well. There's always going to be something relevant in there for us to identify with. We're going to give this one 6 out of 10. Track 9 is We All Fall in Love Sometimes. It's actually joined to the following track, Curtains, but we will treat them separately. This is a really positive song, suggesting that there's some good for everyone in this. It name checks the Empty Sky album, which is interesting. And it shows that love exists as friends between Elton and Bernie. To me, this is like a Stevie Wonder song. Stevie Wonder is its very best. It has kind of a continental sound at the moment. And the verse of this is incredibly strong. It's a bit like sorry seems to be the hardest word, that kind of feeling of the verse. There's a really good cover version of this on Revamp, which was a reimagining of Elton's songs. This one is by Coldplay, a band I don't follow at all, I'm not interested in really, but it is a beautiful version. Dare I say, almost even better than the original version that Elton did. It's a typical love song that Elton is so good with, and really good quality vocal he does on this. So I really urge you to listen to this if you've not heard it before. It stood the test of time. We're going to give it a very good 8 out of 10. Well, the curtain comes down on the vinyl album with track number 10, which is appropriately called Curtains. Somewhat of an obscure lyric, this. It does mention the scarecrow in the lyrics, which is one of his early songs. It begins quietly and builds up, and it kind of ends with the pair of them riding off into the sunset. There's a little bit of a feel of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds about this, but the whole affair is rather plodding and rather dull. It takes a long time to fade out, and you're kind of wishing partway through that it would fade out a bit sooner. And it's a shame that the album finished on this note. We can only really give this one 4 out of 10. But overall, that's an impressive second side of the vinyl. It scores 30, which I think is the best side of vinyl I've scored so far. It's got 3 particularly strong tracks on that, and there isn't really a dud there. There's nothing below 4 out of 10. So the total for the vinyl there is 54 in 10 tracks, giving us an average of 5.4 per track. Now, the CD version of this album, which is still beautifully presented, has 3 extra tracks on it, which we need to talk about. So the first one of those is Elton's cover of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. This emerged from his friendship with John Lennon and came out in 1974, making it to number 1 in the US charts. John Lennon was playing on it as well. Now, I just want to talk about this a little bit, because why does Elton cover another song? You only cover another song if you can improve on it, surely. For instance, Ray Charles covered Eleanor Rigby, fantastic version. Joe Cocker covered With a Little Help from My Friends, fantastic version. The question I pose is, does this version of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds actually add anything to the original? For me, it's one of my least favourite Beatles songs with its drug references. It's rather dull tune, and I just don't feel it's in the same class as a lot of the other things which they wrote, which obviously are totally legendary. Elton's version, he plays a little bit around with the melody, but it's just not very exciting. Maybe it was at the time, but listening back to this, really, this doesn't score for me very highly. Sorry, Elton, on this one, but we're only going to give this one 4 out of 10. Track 12 on the CD is One Day at a Time. This was the B-side of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. This is a John Lennon song, actually. I've listened to it this week several times, and I can still hardly remember anything about it at all. It's a totally and utterly forgettable track. It's a curiosity, and it's useful to have it on the CD for Elton fans to have one or two of these less well-known songs. We can only really give this 2 out of 10, and we're just going to move on. But thankfully, the CD ends on a high with Philadelphia Freedom, which was only ever released as a single. It was written in 1974 on the request of Billie Jean King, the tennis player who was a friend of Elton. She wanted something that would be a theme for her team and celebrating the city of Philadelphia. Well, it seemed to do it rather well because it became #1 in the United States. Elton calls it the best he's ever done, specifically as a single, and it's got that sort of rhythm and blues feel to it. Of course, there's no mention of tennis in it at all. In fact, Bernie Taupin said he couldn't write a song about tennis. Well, he wrote a fantastic lyric celebrating Philadelphia here. It's so positive, it's so driving, it's got a great orchestral backing to it. As we know, this is a wonderful song for Elton to perform live. And it's just a quality song. It's a pity it actually didn't appear on any of his original albums. What a strange decision not to include this in subsequent albums from this. So we're going to give this one a solid, very good 8 out of 10. Well, I've reviewed 5 Elton John albums so far, and let's see how they look in the league table. At the moment, Blue Moves is leading the way with 5.61. The Fox is second. Captain Fantastic comes in third with 5.4. Too Low for Zero 4.7 and Jump Up 4.5. And remember, my project is to review all of Elton John's studio albums and to rank every single song on both the vinyl and the CD in order. Let's have a look now at the song rankings so far. Well, 2 songs have emerged in the lead so far. Sorry seems to be the hardest word, and Someone Saved My Life Tonight. Both hits as singles, as we know, and they're scoring 9 out of 10. Nothing yet got the perfect 10 out of 10, though I do have a couple of songs in mind for that. A big group there having 8 out of 10, and the interesting thing about those is there's some in there that aren't actually singles. Legal Boys, for instance, wasn't a single. Elton's Song wasn't a successful single. Crazy Water in there as well. That's a pretty good playlist, I think, all the way down through those 8s and 7s. Let's now have a look at the bottom of the league table. And remember, this is just for fun, and we still enjoy listening to these songs. We just don't think they're as good as the other Elton John songs. So 3 songs, I'm afraid, just rated 1 out of 10. Heart in the Right Place from the Fox. I Am Your Robot from Jump Up, and Tower of Babel from Captain Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed my album review. Remember, I welcome your comments. Please feel free to disagree with me. We're all Elton fans together. We all love his music. I'll be back with another video soon. And don't forget, we're still standing.